Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Essential Credentials 2020 interview series. We are on to episode 6 tonight, and I'm quite excited because it's not every day you get to interview a good friend on here and who's also a really good collector as far as just understanding the hobby and being really passionate about it. And it's really cool, too, because that's how we met. I think this episode is going to be dedicated to all those friendships that people have made, especially this year, meeting a bunch of new collectors. So I thought it would be great to get my friend Tyler on here, who's been on here a couple of times in various episodes, and definitely been a lot of fun. We got to watch him watch his Pirates not get 20 wins, which I know he was quite excited about. And he's brought his Mark McGwire knowledge here a few times as well. So without further ado, Tyler Mild, how you doing, man?
Yeah, you just had to bring up the Pirates, didn't you?
I was reminiscing about that with a friend the other day too, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we did watch Tyler suffer through that game." So as a Mariner fan, I totally
Yeah.
understand your pain.
I think they were up 6-1 or something in that last game, and then man,
It was a rough season for you, dude. But even though it was a rough season with your sports team, I'd say it's been one of the best collecting years for you. I mean,
the
I've only
best,
known you for a little while, but would you say that it's like by far the best year you've
far
ever had?
far and away the best. Yeah,
I mean,
28, 2018 was pretty good, but
yeah,
this year was something else.
what are some things that stand out to you, making it one of the best years you think?
Uh, well, definitely meeting all the people from the '90s group because I was in the modern groups for a while. I mean, I still am, but you just don't get much connection with people because it's always people posting stuff for sale and everybody trying to one up each other, and you just don't get you just don't build friendships or anything like that. Yeah, you see the same people post every now and then, and sometimes people will post, "Oh, this is all PC, not for sale," but I was missing that. I don't have anybody around me that really clicks. I have a couple friends that do, but the ones more into like football. Uh, But just building the friendships this year was one of the big things, which was just awesome.
Yeah, that's definitely something that I think a lot of collectors that have come back into the hobby have hopefully experienced. It's just meeting all these new people and like-minded people as well. I mean, you did quite well finding your way to the 90s group, which is how we ended up meeting. And for anybody that doesn't know, this guy Tyler posted this A-Rod that from Pacific, of course. I mean, it makes sense because we call ourselves the Pacific Bros. We love their products, and we're big supporters of that brand. But you posted this A-Rod, and I'm like, wow, I don't have that. I don't. I've been looking for this forever, and I reached out, and you were like, nah. Talk to me in a couple months. We'll think about it, and
Well, didn't
and
I when I posted it? Didn't I ask why it was numbered?
yeah, you did, which
Well,
was interesting because think about where you're at now. Wouldn't you laugh at yourself if you asked that same question?
yeah. And I remember picking it up at a card show. I think it was in a pretty sure it was in a dollar box. Maybe it was in a couple dollar box, or maybe it was in a four for a dollar or something. But I didn't even see the serial number when I first bought it. I saw that little clear acetate window. It's like, oh man,
Right.
that's a pretty cool card. I liked A-Rod.
Yeah, that was the 99 Invincible. And yeah, it was pretty cool that you kind of and I reached out probably 2 or 3 months later. I'm like, hey, I still can't find this card. Would you be willing to move it? And you actually came to a pretty good price for it, especially nowadays with just that premier
Yeah,
that I got thrown up
I
for
think
like
I
three
got
hundred
gypped.
bucks. No, whatever. I've made up for it in friendship. But no, it's kind of cool because we started off not really like kind of connecting as far as collecting. You were just like, yeah, here's this for sale, and you kept looking at that group. And do you feel like that group kind of really started pulling you into the whole community and collecting where you're
Oh
at
yeah,
now?
yeah. Just seeing what all was out there. I mean, it just blew my mind how much there was. It still blows my mind how much there still is.
Yeah, with the 90s, dude, it's like you're constantly learning about it for sure. I mean, but
Yeah.
that's the beauty of collecting that era for sure. I mean, I want to start though from before you got there because we've all these questions that we're going to cover. You've kind of mentioned them, it being on the podcast for like a couple minutes, but I do want to dive in because I think your story is probably similar to those who maybe collected prior to 2020 and found this 90s era of inserts and cards. Your shtick was opening new products. That's how you collected for years, and what I guess I want to ask, like, but when it was affordable, like, how often did you open boxes? I mean, what was that whole experience like, opening new wax and whatnot?
I mean, I would always try to buy. I tried to buy one box of every reasonable product. I would occasionally, like for a birthday present, my wife would get me a box of Topps Museum. But for the most part, I stayed in that like 100 to 150, $70 range. I
Mm-hmm.
would open one product, one box of each product, and if I got something good, then I got something good. And if I ended up with scrub pitcher autograph, then that's what it was. It was a lot of fun. Um, Definitely more heartbreak than than joy for
Now,
for the big cards.
right, but I mean that I think would teach a very valuable lesson. I mean, you're opening a lot of product like that. I imagine you started thinking like, okay, I'm spending all this money on boxes. That's fun to do, but look at what I can spend money on, individually with cards. But
I wasn't looking at it like that back then though. I wasn't really buying too much on eBay, like too many singles. I was buying some pirate stuff here and there. Uh,
mhm.
I bought a lot of Josh Bell. It was really fun watching him come up. Tyone was another one. Just within the last year or two, I started getting a lot of Trevor Williams. But back then, when I was just opening new product, I was not really buying many singles.
Okay, gotcha. I definitely have to make sure I show this. But I mean that's kind of interesting too because I had similar experience back when I was in college. I was like, "Ooh, modern! It's shiny! It's new!" And it definitely didn't bring me the same joy as going and finding cards that have a lot of stories and whatnot behind them. But I mean, you recently stopped, opening a lot of new boxes, right? And just because of the price and whatnot. But just kind of looking at it right now, even though you're heavily into the '90s, is opening boxes something that you say you miss a little bit still?
I definitely miss it a lot. I don't miss how much it cost. I think it was definitely a little more expensive than I thought it was. Um, I miss going to the card shop. My LCS guy, he messages me all the time asking when I'm coming up, and because it's my LCS isn't really local; it's an hour and a half away.
Hmm.
But I used to go up. I used to go there a couple times a month, maybe even three times a month. And so I do miss going up there, and I would always open my boxes there. And it was fun because if I hit something big, you'd give me a magnetic or something, or there'd be other people there that were excited to see what I pulled.
Yeah, that's something that we definitely don't get to experience as much. As that you brought up is like I remember being in hobby shops and like, yeah, people giving high fives and they pull a big card and you definitely, I mean, you've told me you've had the pleasure of pulling a few pretty nice ones over the years.
Yeah.
So, would you say that's probably the best thing about breaking boxes, other than the cards themselves, is just like being in the atmosphere of the hobby shop and whatnot?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, there's just millions of cards all around you, and you're like, oh well, this hopefully this one box has what I am looking for. That's all I want.
I do miss the feeling of being in those things a lot, man. Which is a bummer because we were planning on hanging out during the holidays, and this COVID thing has just gotten so out of control that we had to put
Yeah.
that on the back burner. But it's too bad nobody's going to be in a hobby shop experiencing Formula One cards being opened up next year, I guess. But I mean, so you go from doing a lot of new, collecting, you know, modern cards and buying singles and whatnot for modern. How did you get the '90s insert bug? I mean, where did that really start for you?
I think it was. I mean, it started at card shows because I never when I went to card shows, I would never go and buy like the big expensive rookies or like Mike Trout autos or anything expensive. I think probably the most expensive single card I bought at a card show. Oh, I think it might have been an Alex Bregman rookie auto. This was before the whole
I know. I was looking for a trash. I was looking for a
yeah
trash can to go
yeah
bang on.
before that. Now I would want to give that away. But I mean, it was probably I think it was like $30, something like that. I never buy anything too crazy, so it was me going through all these bargain bins. And I would sit there, pull up a chair, and I just the more boxes that like a dealer had, the better. Because if they had like 5 boxes, I could spend hour and a half just sitting there going through every single card. And doing that, you come across a lot of the '90s stuff.
Right.
It's like, oh wow, I mean, I don't you don't see anything like this in new boxes. Um, and then I mean the price, like $1 or four for $1 or 10 for $1. Just even though I didn't know a whole lot about them, the shine certainly attracted me.
That was going to be my next question. Was like, what was the one thing about those cards that stood out? I mean, you talked
The,
about
the,
that A Rod too. I mean, that how
mhm.
unique it was. But was it the shine, or was there other
It was
features?
that acetate.
All right.
So,
They,
so the three things were shine. Well, four things: shine, acetate, die cut, and serial numbered. But mainly it was shine and die cut.
well, that makes me ask this question. You say serial numbered. You know, modern now, especially. I can thank you for helping me get into collecting Tyler Glass now and going for rainbows. Man, what an exhausting experience because everything is serial numbered. Everything.
Yeah.
And did you pass those up at first thinking they weren't that great, or did you understand the difference between a card out of 190s and a card out of 100 in modern?
Yeah. Even though I didn't know a ton about the '90s then, I definitely knew that the numbered ones were a little bit more rare, a little tougher. You didn't have 10, 12 parallels of one insert or base card.
Right.
So
Okay.
something that was numbered out of 500 or 1,000 or whatever was actually decently rare.
Okay. Yeah, because that's something I think a lot of modern people misses when they first get into the 90s. And that's why there's a lot of dealers that have these great cards sitting in these cheap boxes because they don't get that a card out of 100 is a really big deal. I think
Right.
now you're not going to see that anymore, but maybe that much. But yeah, that's awesome, dude. What an experience to kind of just give yourself into that era because there's so much to unpack. I mean, I watched you go through your singles box on camera one time. You pulled out a bunch of A-Rods. You sent me I think 20 or 30 that I didn't have, just a bunch of singles, like base and lower inserts. It was crazy all the stuff that you had accumulated, and
Yeah.
it's no wonder you found a love for
Yeah.
the 90s that way.
Yeah. I'm looking at it right now. I've got a 4 row top loader box of just '90s cards that I picked up at card shows. I think I have another 4 row box in the closet of '90s cards and penny sleeves.
Hey man, you and Bob Lewis ought to hang out and just show off how many cards you guys got. That's wild. That's cool though. I mean, that's awesome. What a fun way to just be able to kind of slowly get into this era. But when would you say the turning point happened? Like when you were like, all right, the modern stuff is going to kind of be put on the back burner. Maybe get a box here and there. Maybe a box of retail. When did you decide like? Before you focused on a player, but when did you decide like 90s inserts? This is what it's all about.
Well, I was still, I mean, even when I was still getting into the '90s pretty hard, I was still buying modern boxes quite a bit. I was still doing one box every release,
Mm-hmm.
and it really hasn't been until this summer that I was like, I really don't want to. I don't care to open this many boxes when I could put that money towards McGwire that I really wanted. But the definite turning point was Topps Gold Label this year. Oh my god, I know Matt, I know you've heard me talk about it a lot.
Yep.
Topps Gold Label hobby boxes are only like $60 a year. You get one gold framed auto, and the base cards are nothing like Gold Label
No.
back in the '90s.
Nope.
and they're always $60, and it's like, all right, well, I don't think I ever got. I think my best auto I ever got out of one was a Jose Canseco out of it goes out of 25. Sold
Gotcha.
it for like 20, $30. Um, but this year when it came out, it was like $110.
Right.
When I saw that was almost double what the normal price was, that is what really made me slam on the brakes.
Right.
Because I just
Well,
I just couldn't justify it.
I mean, I'm not going to answer questions for guests, but I have an inkling into the other box that really got you thinking about, I wonder if I should keep opening this modern product. You know what box I'm talking about?
Oh
Yeah, see, there it
yeah,
is.
yeah, yeah. I can show you that box right now.
Oh, good. I'm glad you got the picture. This is great.
That was out of my hobby box of Gypsy Queen this year.
What
I
player is that again?
Thyro Estrada. Matt,
Who?
you watched me open this. I pulled the one auto. I was like, oh, okay, well, next one's got to be better. So then I found the auto pack, and I think I set it to the side,
Yeah, you did. You
and then I think I,
did.
I think I held it up to the camera and did a slow reveal. I was like, no way.
Right.
I couldn't believe it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Ryan brings up a good point. This is part of the reason people still buy boxes because looking at that whole,
Yeah.
looking at those shelves of open. Oh man, that would be.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. And then all it takes is to get one good card out of a box, and you're hooked again for a little while. It's
Such
like,
as
such as I got this was from this year. See if this I can get this light to work. Uh-oh.
flow. Look at the flow.
Yeah, that's a
Yep.
this is from Finest. This is a green wave out
Awesome
of
card.
99.
Beautiful.
Did that card this year. Then another one I wanted to show that I got this year. My wife got it for me. Oh, this was the box we got. She got me for our anniversary. I got a tier one box. I don't need the light
Oh,
for that.
I remember
Oh
that, dude.
yeah, maybe I do need the
The
light for
light,
it.
the light definitely makes these cards look amazing. Jeez.
Yeah, yeah. Aaron Judge out of
Wow.
25. I mean, that was an awesome pull.
And that was in the shop that you pulled that too, right?
Yeah, that was actually there's this. I'm sure some guys on here might have heard of it, but they're big on Facebook. They live stream uh, 2 or 3 nights a week. They've been doing it for years. Grand
Mm-hmm.
Slam Collectibles from Tennessee. I've
Okay.
been watching them for a long time, and my wife and I were on a road trip this summer, and we were going to be going through Tennessee, and I told her we have to stop at this hobby shop. I got to meet them after watched them. uh, and so we stopped in there, and she bought me a box, and that was in there. So that was a
That,
really cool
that
memory.
that's awesome, dude. That's the thing, like I think opening modern, you have to be very selective. I mean, you and I have spoke about what probably a lot of people do nowadays is maybe splitting boxes just because, you if you split it, then if you get nothing, it's like, well, we had the fun of doing it together, and it hurts half as less. But man, if you're dropping 300 bucks on a box and you get two Estrada autos out of it and like a relic card, you're just like, oh man, I feel like this was just, yeah, that's not okay. So, yep. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think a lot of people, unless they're joining group breaks, are probably taking the same route you are and just going singles mostly or permanently.
Yeah,
Um,
but
but
I hope I can get back into buying boxes. I don't know. Probably won't be next year or probably even the year after. It'll probably be a little bit before things maybe come back down if they do at all. I don't know.
Well, I think what we've been doing, which has been, I got to give Tyler his due shout out, is you got a Walmart close to yours at Target. I can't remember. Fred
Walmart.
Meyer, Walmart, and they get retail every now and then. And Tyler will grab a box for him and say, "Okay, what do you want?" Say, "How about, how about a hockey box or this?" And like, "All right, cool. Send me money. I'll send it out in the mail." And you send it to me, and that has allowed us to open a product and not really have to break the bank, but
Yeah.
experience the cards. And I don't know, for me, opening retail, obviously I never would have done it before, but it's fun for $20. You get to experience like the photography. Like when you sent me that Stadium Club box,
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun. Do you feel like retail is something that you might still try to grab here and there just to experience opening cards?
Yeah. I still plan on buying hobby boxes of the flagship tops.
Hmm.
Um, but other than that, yeah, I think getting a blaster of maybe Allen and Ginner, Stadium Club, Gypsy Queen. Trying to think of another. Stuff like that. I wouldn't mind getting a blaster box
Right,
on release just to say I opened something, see what it looks like that year.
right,
Who knows? Maybe pull a base hot rookie or something. I don't know.
right,
Something
right.
fun.
Hey Nate. Yeah, that would be cool, man. That would be cool. I think it's definitely given me the enjoyment of, opening a new product. But it's also been cool that I definitely recommend this to people if you're a big '90s collector. You know, hit up a buddy and say, hey, let's break this '90s box together. And go half on it, and you know that your friend collects one player and you collect another, and send the cards off. And we've actually had some luck. Well, you've had more luck than me actually, but you've had a
Well,
lot.
forget
You've
my
had,
player. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, how many times has Mark McGwire that you didn't have come out of a box that we've split?
I think all but a couple boxes. We
Yeah,
pulled a McGuire, at least one McGuire that I needed,
right, for
and like
sure.
decent ones too, tougher ones to pull.
I will say that out of all the boxes we've opened together, I got the most excited. I don't think you grabbed this card, but it was from Aurora. It was one of those. It wasn't a Styrotech. It was a die cut card. I thought I know I pulled you like a Fielder's Choice too, but there was it was an EO Portraits from Omega, right?
Oh yeah,
I
yeah.
pulled that, and then I pulled another one on camera while you were watching, and I was like, "No way!" And you thought I'd pulled like a McGuire premiere date or something.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's so much fun. So I definitely recommend everybody thinking about that. But speaking of
yeah.
McGuire, I don't know if you've been. I know you kind of told your story a little bit, but rather than like, okay, why you love Mark McGwire, even though your videos of you hitting and saying Mark McGwire, which was just the
Do
coolest
you
thing
have
ever.
that to show anyone? Show
Hey,
everyone?
dude,
Or?
it's way back in the
Um,
chat. What I'll do is we need to make a video clip of it, and I need to post a link for everybody in this at the end of this show so they can
yeah.
watch because it's really cool to see. But when did the moment happen when you're like, you know what, everything else is done, Mark McGwire all in? What would solidified that for you?
I don't even know what solidified it really. I mean, I think there are a bunch of little things that kind of played their part in it. Like you were a big part, always telling me, "Oh, you have to get this card." I mean, everyone can attest how much money you make them spend. But
Don't know what you're talking about.
yeah, you were a part of it. I don't know, just kind of getting burned out on uh, modern, the design, obviously.
Hmm.
I mean, just the seeing the design on these cards is just I don't know. I mean, if you don't like the design, then you shouldn't collect them, I guess. But I think it's just a combination of just a whole bunch of small things made me just really decide to go all in. And him being my favorite when I was a kid, because that '98 season I would have been 5, so very impressionable. So him hitting all those home runs made me a big fan for
What would
sure.
what would you say? Some other than his home run hitting, which I think Mark McGuire is and home runs are synonymous with each other. Is there anything else about McGuire that you still to this day find interesting or enjoy about him when it comes to collecting? I mean,
Uh,
try to think about beyond like just him hitting home runs. Like, do you think it's cool that he became a coach still? I mean, do you still follow
yeah,
his career, or are you just kind of like,
uh,
I just
I
like the cards?
I do try to see where he's at. I'm not a huge post career guy on him. I'm not gonna lie about that. I am glad that he kind of owned up to taking some stuff back in his playing days.
Hmm.
I'm glad he wasn't. I mean, at first he denied it, but he eventually kind of came clean, and
Yeah, right.
I don't know. I think that's better than just going to the grave saying that he never cheated or took anything.
Yeah, that's something we share in common with both of our players. I think they've both really, come out and owned up to the mistakes and
Yeah.
trying to help others learn from the mistakes they made on the field. But man, what an exciting player to watch. I mean, he had moments where people, during batting practice, everybody would go watch, and it's too bad, if I could give you the perfect Christmas present would be to teleport you to one of his batting practice, and then
Yeah.
watch him hit a couple homers in a game because
Yeah.
that must have been special for all those people. I know my dad absolutely loved him and always talked about Mark McGwire. He certainly was a polarizing figure. But
Yeah.
do you feel like with his cards, you've been able to kind of stay in this affordable range still with him? He hasn't really gone bananas. I mean, you've seen it go from kind of a little bit cheap to higher, right?
I think right now it is definitely very high right now. There's probably, well, I think about 5 of us just that I know of that are going pretty hard on him right now. So definitely paid some more for things that I wish I wouldn't have had to pay that much.
Well, I mean,
But
I won't say that I had anything to do with any of those purchases. So
it was kind of weird how much. I mean, I think that's every player pretty much, but even the beginning of this year, beginning of the pandemic and everything, he was still like you were still able to find a pretty good auction deal uh, every now and then. But now the auctions are all going. You're paying top dollar and then some on the auctions. You can still find some good buy it now deals every once in a while.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, his auction prices are quickly rising.
Actually, to be honest with you, I'm surprised it didn't go further because of the documentary. We predicted that his stuff was going to go really crazy, and in a way, it kind of. Did you feel like it just spiked and then kind of leveled off, or do you feel like it's been a steady incline?
It's been a steady incline, but back the documentary, it really all it did was a bunch of people wanted to just buy his rookie cards. Like after the documentary, the card shows that I would go to when go up to the dealer and they'd say, "Oh, what are you looking for?" Like, "Oh, 90s, early 2000s, especially McGwire." "Oh, well, I think I got some rookies over there." "Oh, I'm not interested in the rookies." Or I think there was even the one time I came up to a booth and some guy was like standing there looking at the cards and he heard me tell the dealer what I was looking for. He's like, "Oh, I think I cleaned out all the rookies over there," or something like. I'm like, "Oh, okay, you can take those." So I think that's really, for the most part, that's all that really kind of jumped during the documentary,
Right.
which I'm okay with. I'm glad that a lot of those people didn't dive into the cooler stuff.
I think it amazes me still how a few people know about how the uniqueness of the 90s. You know what I mean? Like they're still so focused on the rookie card, and that to me, I mean, wouldn't you agree? I think this is like mostly modern collectors that are coming over that are trying to,
So
you know.
they all like get these rookie cards and use the G word.
So Tyler, I've got these cards for sale. Do you want them?
Oh yeah, it might be interesting.
You know what? I think I'm going to hold on to them and grade them. Sorry, had to work that in.
Yeah.
If you're one of those people, shame on you. I'm saying it right now. No, but I mean, it's that's the name of the game, and it's thankfully it hasn't worked its way into our kind of niche of people that we collect with. Before I dive into that, I mean, for like the community aspect, off the top of your head, tell me like a surprise or two that now that you've entrenched yourself in the 90s, you've got pretty close to a lot of the people that have been collecting for a while as far as your knowledge goes. I mean, have there been any surprises or like light bulb moments as you've been looking through these cards, like, man, I can't believe how unique these are? Anything like that comes off the top of your head?
One of the light bulb moments which you helped inspire was, I mean, nothing crazy, but the upper deck inserts or parallels out of 100 A lot of them are just pretty basic and kind of bland and all that. But for whatever reason, those upper deck out of 100s are so hard to come by. They don't usually go for a whole lot, doesn't seem. Some do, but they're just like they hardly ever come up. So that kind of surprises me.
You don't know how tough any '90s insert is until you. Hey, what's up, Four Leaf? How you doing, man? Hope you're doing well. Is when you watch an entire case get opened. You know, I always wanted to get Brant on here so he could kind of explain
Yeah.
his experiences and thoughts after opening so many boxes. And
Yeah.
individual boxes are not a really good telltale sign of how rare certain cards are because all those upper deck inserts never really had odds. It just said random odds. And so he opened that whole case of Series 1 and didn't pull one insert. He pulled
Yeah.
like a few base parallels, but he did not pull one insert out of 100 or 50. And that right there was like, you know what? These things are way too cheap.
Yeah.
You know, is that what did it for you too?
Yeah, for those, because like I mean, if you what is that 99 upper deck that
Yeah.
has like the base and then the one out of 2000, then 100, then 10.
Mm-hmm. Correct.
Yeah, those. I mean, you see, like he opened that case. I think he pulled a couple that were the die cut out of 2000,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, not a single one out of 100, or I mean, obviously you're not expecting anything out of 10, but yeah, just it's crazy seeing a whole case open and nothing like that.
Shows you how much product that was made back then too. I mean,
Yeah,
that's pretty ridiculous, but really makes you appreciate those tough '90s inserts. I mean, for anybody that's watching or anybody that watches later, you definitely need to understand how my everybody's favorite word in the hobby, rare those cards out of 100 are. I mean, duh, they're out of 100, but I mean, I don't
yeah,
think there's no way. We've talked about this before, Tyler. I mean, how many of those 100 of any of these inserts from the '90s you think are still floating around or in a collection?
right, yeah. And then same way with Pacific. I mean, those checklists were always huge, and trying to pull a low numbered parallel of the guy you want is just crazy hard. Especially what was that, the 2000 Paramount that we opened some packs of, where you got what one was it one base card or two base
Oh,
cards,
you're
and that
talking about in 2000 Invincible.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, you got what
Oh
two was it
man,
two base cards or one base card, and then that playing card,
I
the
think
Kings of
it.
the Diamond.
I think it was the Kings of the Diamond and two base cards. Yep.
Yeah, trying to pull the purple or the platinum blue
Yep.
out of that. Holy smokes!
Definitely. No, that's that's a good point, man. I mean, they're out there because they've been on a lot of them have been on eBay for a long time, but yeah, don't kid yourself. The rarity from that era, I think, is what attracts a lot of people to it. And you know, you can probably speak to this better than anyone. Almost is like when you get those cards in the mail and you see that serial number out of 100, you start thinking about like, okay, how many of these are ever going to show up again? You
Yeah.
know, is that? Do you think that's what contributes to the high spending? You know, or if your
Oh,
wife watches this, the $1 cards that you buy.
oh, for sure. Yeah, yeah. It's definitely like, oh man. I mean, you might never see it again, or it might be years, or it could be the next day. Like
That's
what that one the 2000 Invincible that the purple was one of my top ones for a while,
yeah.
and none were popping up on eBay, and then one finally did, and what I think I paid like I think I paid like $30 for it, but then like the week after another one popped up and it sold for 5 or 6.
That's right. You just never know, though, man. You
Yeah,
just never know.
yeah, but I
That's
was not gonna miss on that card because I didn't know when the next time it would pop up.
well, you convinced me to buy the purple. I had already had it of Ankiel because it was so cheap. You're like, go buy the A Rod for
Yeah,
$10. What are you
yeah,
doing?
I couldn't believe that you hadn't bought it yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's one thing that's been fun about this friendship is fun or not so fun when it comes to our wallets, but we definitely have each other's backs and motivate each other to grab certain cards. But then you like those cards more because you've got that memory of a buddy helping you go after it. I think
Yeah.
that's. I mean, I don't know about you, but I like going through the collection and be like, yep, I remember when I got that because my friends were motivating
Mhm.
me to get this, or I remember,
Yeah. Yeah.
pulling this or that.
That's, I mean, same thing with me and the modern boxes. I mean, looking through, I mean, as much as I didn't want to pull two Thyro Estrada autograph cards out of one box, I'll always remember that.
Right.
Same way with the bigger cards. So that's kind of, that ties in with the '90s stuff. Like I remember going back and forth with guy on eBay for this card. Now I finally got it. It's just all those memories.
Definitely. Well, I mean, I think most of those memories are tied to, the connections that you make with the other collectors. I mean, would you say that right there though is probably, like as you mentioned earlier, that is the thing that you'll always remember, especially from this year, is just all the different friendships that you've made.
Yeah, yeah. As hectic as this year was, and frantic, and just grab what you can when you can, all that. Aside from that, yeah, definitely the friendships. I mean, you and I don't think there's a day goes by that we don't message each other
Mm-hmm.
at least once. But then everyone else in the groups too. I mean, especially Will and Jeremy. I mean, the four of us are always talking, always sending back funny memes or screenshots or something. Well, I don't think I've sent one in a while, but I was always sending one like right when I would wake up of something in a modern group of what somebody commented, and then just give you a good laugh in the morning.
Oh, every morning because you're 4 hours ahead of me. So boom, my phone goes off at 4 a.m. I'm like, yeah, I'm not getting to that yet. And waking up and seeing messages, and I don't want to call anybody out, but there's some people that are just not really educated about the hobby, which is what you have to do to find the right price to buy things at and sell things, and people are just asking these crazy things. I think
Or
the best one, which we can mention maybe for me and you, but for me, is the Raz of the car.
I was just going to
That
bring that up. Yeah, I know Will was all over that.
Oh, we will. Will and I will be speaking about that when he's on here because he can give me the play by play. I left that group. I was like, I can't do it, man. The drama just kept going. I mean, if there was anything more popcorn worthy in this year, that
Yeah.
is the top.
Somebody would make a post about it, then there'd be like 200, 300 comments, and then they would be shut off.
Yeah.
Every single post, and the guy that was the guy that
That's
was
right.
the guy that was running it. I mean, every time he would try to clear his name, he would just make things worse for
That's
himself. And oh, it was hilarious.
Oh man, that amen to that. Amen to that, dude. That was Yeah, it was good stuff. But that's what I hope a lot of people are being able to experience right now is just at the end of the day, like a lot of guests on here have talked about, the cards need to be appreciated, but man, appreciate all the friendships that you've been able to make through it all.
Mm.
Like I want to use this episode because of that, especially. Could you shout out a few people that come to the top of your head? People that hopefully are going to watch this that deserve a little recognition. Like, who do you feel like some of the, not to exclude anybody, but who are some of the people that you find yourself enjoying, communicating with and chatting cards with?
Well, you, Will, Jeremy, Eric Wertner, and I have been talking quite a bit lately. He's a pretty big McGwire guy,
Mm-hmm.
so we bounce some things off of each other. I ask him a lot about certain things, as he has a lot more knowledge than I do, and I think he still is always surprised at how young I am compared to everyone else in that McGwire group.
Right.
I mean, Ryan Molyneux just, is it Molyneux or Molinax?
Oh
Because I
man.
always want to say Molyneux.
Oh man. Ryan, could you clear that up for us, buddy? Can you break it up phonetically? Because if it's Molyneux, then I've screwed that up, and you never
Yeah, I
corrected
know.
me.
I know you always say Molinax, but I've always said Molyneux.
Oh boy, I'm
He,
embarrassed now, especially as a teacher. Let's.
yeah, he just sent me a care package today that was just beyond nice. I mean, it was so cool to do that.
I think Ryan's
Um,
growing that gray beard out. The Santa Claus beard is coming in.
yeah. Um, I haven't communicated with him really, but Molinax. Okay, it is Molinax. Okay.
Thank you for clearing that up, Ryan.
Yeah, that's how I'll say it from now on. Uh, but yeah, I haven't contacted him really, but Nate Tops 85 401, he Uh, yeah, yeah, Nate. I watched. I think I went back through like 4 or 5 years worth of your videos when all the lockdowns were going on this year. I mean, I would just I'd put on your channel where I left off from the day before, and I would either, I think I was making an Excel sheet for my McGwire collection, so I was going through every card that was made that he was in, every set that he was in, or I would just be entering my cards in trading card database or sorting or all that. So that definitely made me feel closer to some of the guys, even though I
Definitely.
wasn't. Yeah,
I remember when you were on an episode with him. You were really excited to meet him for the first time.
yeah.
Guys like I think we've talked about him many times in this podcast when he's on here. He kind of got the ball rolling for a lot of us collectors, and something we can learn from him is just the pure joy when you're looking at your cards.
Oh
I
yeah.
think that's super important. To go back and grab a box and just put on some collecting video or something and go through your cards and check them out. I mean, yeah, there's definitely a lot of people that we didn't mention out there. I mean, I think we've got a couple of groups that we enjoy. Then there's some special people out there for sure.
Oh yeah. Eric McDowell and Chuck Grassnaw or
Krishna, yeah,
Krishna Chuck
Chuck.
Chuck.
Sorry, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those two are always sending
no,
me.
Chuck's awesome. Oh,
They're always sending me links to McGwire stuff on eBay. Like, hey, have you seen this one?
yep.
So I always really appreciate that.
Mhm. Definitely, definitely. No, for sure, man. It's all about community. I'm sure there's like the list could go on and on and on. When I hop on here at the end of the month, I will definitely have my little list out like Ryan did last episode when he was shouting all those Instagram people out. Well, before we get to the rapid fire, Tyler, I think I have one more question that we've kind of chatted a little bit about. It's hard to think of this because it's still kind of the beginning of December, but because of the hobby box prices and all this other stuff, where do you see what are your goals going to be for 2021? Like from the jump, what do you think?
I mean, I'm definitely focusing almost all in on McGwire. But I think I want to. I mean, I can't. This year was so crazy with everything that I got that popped up and all this stuff. I want to take it a little bit slower this year. Um, be okay with missing out on a few more cards.
Hmm.
I mean, I know I can't get everything
Right.
as much as I would want to. Uh, so just trying to be a little bit more strategic with what I pick up.
Right.
Because I mean I love the high end cards as much as I love the base or the kind of like the mid inserts or parallels or any of that.
Right.
Um, so I just kind of want to just be a little strategic with it, not go all in on everything.
Now I'm reminded of how do you feel exactly though? Like even though you're okay missing out on these big cards, are there any emotions that come up when you do miss out on like a really awesome Pacific card that come to mind at all? I mean, do you just take it in stride like, yep, it's all good, no biggie?
Pacific is what always hurts the worst. That usually stings for a week or so.
Any reactions you'd like to share with the people of? Oh man, I have to tell everybody I was on a walk going around the lake, doing my evening walk, and I feel so bad for Tyler. I won't say the card because I don't want to shout that person out who won it, but it was a Pacific card, and he and I are just like all in for it. And he missed out on it the last second, and he sent it to me. And at first, I was upset, and then he sent this GIF of The Office of Michael going, "I'm gonna kill myself," and I was almost in tears. And they're like passing people. They're like, "What's up with this guy?" And I'm like, it was so funny. And oh hey, look who it is.
Hey Jeremy,
uh,
love
you know,
love love the shirt.
I just think it was almost therapeutic for me. I hope for you because it's like, all right, you know what? If you can like find a way to laugh when you miss out on a big card, think about all the cool cards you got after that
Yeah.
one ended. And
Yeah, yeah, that's where it helps having friends. friends in the hobby that help you kind of get over some of that stuff and can make you think about what you already have, which which you should definitely do more often.
Amen to that. And it's funny too because I think I even said like you watch, you missed out on that, but that money that you almost spent on that, something else is going to come up and you'll be like, ooh, and you're going to forget about it almost. You know,
Yeah.
we won't talk about that exact card, but yeah, I think, and it did. You know, I feel like that happens a lot, and this hobby can just put the knife in your heart and twist it a few times, but then all of a sudden it gets patched up with another card that comes up that you
Yeah.
weren't expecting. You know.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, awesome. Well, I'm excited to see where your McGwire collection goes because you're starting to approach that same area that Jeremy, myself, Will, we're all kind of getting to this area of our player collections where you've got most of like the mid-range, lower high-end cards, and all that's really left are some base cards or the monsters.
I don't know. I don't know. There's still a lot of
Is
99 and
there?
2000 stuff I got to get just because he was in
Oh, again,
everything.
that's true. That's true.
Yeah, after that 98 year, he was literally in everything.
Well, I am looking forward to seeing what you come up with, man. That'll be fun. And what's great is you got a lot of resources helping you, find cards and getting the right prices for everything set. So hopefully that happens. You ready to hop into rapid fire? We're at 45 minutes. Let's do it, man.
I think so.
Okay. Whew. I already know what one of these is going to be, but I don't know. I don't know the other two. So, top 3 pickups of 2020.
Top 3 pickups. So, one card that I show later on is going to would be at the top 3, but I don't want to show a card multiple times for multiple topics. So I went with something else over it.
I got to show this real quick too, because this was a really good point off of what you said.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right, let's see these cards, man.
This is one of them, and it's was this 99 Pacific Crown Royale, the Jumbo Kramer's Choice Green out of 30. There it is. I had got this case. There was another card that was in it. I bought it earlier this year, and I bought it specifically for the case because it was just so awesome. I mean, look how thick that is. It's just amazing. But then I think I don't know if it was in like May or something like that. This card happened to stumble across a seller that had this, was looking to get rid of it. And I mean, Pacific, of course, is awesome. Die cut, and then just numbered out of 30.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Crazy.
Very cool.
So that's one. Then these next two, you definitely had a huge influence in. So this one's made an appearance before.
There you go. I couldn't quite see you.
Man, I wish I could figure out this light. The established. That was seen on the one previous podcast, but the bracket. But this card is just awesome. You told me no matter what you do, you have to get that card.
Yep.
And I am sure glad that you did, that you told me that, because it is awesome.
If you are listening, take the advice, sir.
And then another top one, which you had a big influence in, was this bad boy.
Can you tell the story of how improbable that card is? Or at least getting to you the way that it did?
Yeah, so you had just got yours, which came, that one kid got it from what do you find it in a yard sale or a
flea market? Flea market, yeah.
For $1, yeah. So you got it. I saw how sweet it was, and this had been on eBay for a little while, but it was from where was it from? Taiwan or something like that. Some crazy place from halfway across the world. And I messaged the guy because this was like during the height of the lockdown. I was like, hey, I offered him a price, and he said he would agree to that. He's like, but I don't know if I'd be able to get to this to the post office or whatever it was. I mean, I could get it to the post office, but it might not come for a couple months. Who knows how long with all
Right.
that was going on. And I was like, oh well. I mean, I'm willing to wait. I'm okay with that. I just really want the card. And so he was a really nice guy. Um, I didn't get the story of where it came from, how he acquired it, but so I bought it on I think it was a Friday night, Thursday night maybe, and it came. I got a notification on eBay on like Monday saying that it was out for delivery. I was like, what the heck? There's no way. It has to be a mistake. And sure enough, I mean, it came to my doorstep later that day. And he had included another Star Rubies parallel of I forget the player's name. I mean, he was just a nobody really, some pitcher. But
Right.
I messaged him. Was like, I can't believe how quick that got here. Thank you so much. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen.
Awesome,
And
man.
it was just from Taiwan or wherever it was to here in like a weekend during the height of the pandemic.
Right. I remember we were all shocked. You sent a thing to me and Jeremy and Will, and you're like, "Hey, guess what? It's here." And we're like, "No, it's not. Like,
Yeah.
there's no way." But that's cool, dude. Oh, good. Well, I think I could have predicted one of those cards. I wasn't predicting the green Kramer's Choice Jumbo, but that's awesome.
I think if I didn't have the case, even though the case didn't come with it, if I didn't have the case, that might not have been the top three. But being able to display it in that case,
Right. That's pretty sweet, dude. Those cases are sweet. I'll agree with that. All right, biggest steal of this year.
biggest steal. Okay, so this one would have replaced the green, but because this is just an amazing pickup.
Oy, oy, oy.
Oh, just beautifully incredible.
Mark McNasty, dude. Holy smokes.
Yeah, I mean, this was a. I remember I was laying in bed. I was just about ready to go. I think I was even up a little bit later that night, and was in bed. I was checking eBay for the last time right before I went to bed, and that popped up, and it like I immediately sat up. I was like, "Oh my, what?" Like when I saw the price. So I think I messaged you, or I might have even tried calling you right away. But A Rod's not in that, so you didn't really know.
Yep.
Uh, and I was like, Matt, do I buy it? Yes or no? And then I think your message back, do what your heart tells you to.
Yeah.
And I said, my heart's telling me to buy it. And because I knew that the price it was at, especially being a PSA 10, which I don't care for graded stuff, but I mean, that was kind of a no brainer.
Right.
I bought it because I knew it would be gone in the morning. And sure enough, I whenever I'd post it in the group, I felt bad, but there were definitely some people that had been looking for that a lot longer than I was.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but just incredible.
There's really no other words to describe that, you know, especially because of the discount that you ended up getting on that card. But really cool story. I remember you telling me the guy he had been
Yeah,
collecting for
yeah.
a while.
The guy ended up calling me. I think it was like the next day or something. He was some older guy. He said he's from New York, from Long Island.
Wow.
I could definitely hear the accent. And him and I exchanged some phone calls back and forth, and I thought there was potential that he might have been a McGwire honey hole, but that kind of fell through. But he was a nice guy.
Right. That's good though, man. I always feel like it's important to kind of
Yeah,
hear or know a little
yeah,
bit about the people you get the big cards from.
yeah. And Ryan, I never thought I would have owned this card. No way. Never would have thought it.
That was an exciting day for you when you bought that, and it was also quite a funny day for me. But we won't talk about that. So let's go to the next one, which yeah, this is going to be a fun one for everybody because I don't think you've even talked about this card to many people. So
No.
your most unexpected card of 2020. How did you get it? And yeah, let's hear about it.
So this goes back to buying modern, and this was retail. This was, I mean, it was still, it was getting starting to get pretty crazy at that point, but it wasn't. At least in my area, you could still find some stuff. And so this is from Bowman of this year, and I think I got there, and there were five. Um, there were five blasters just sitting there. And I think Matt, I think you had talked about you might have been interested in one of them or something. I thought, oh well,
you sent me one. Yeah, you
did I?
did.
Okay. I
Yep.
was like, oh yeah, I'll grab all five, and I mean, if Matt doesn't want one, then I'll just open them all because I think I had convinced myself I wasn't going to get a hobby box because they were pretty highly priced. I think they
How'd
were.
that go exactly?
I did end up
Yeah,
buying one,
that's right.
but then I hit something nice out of
You
that too.
did. I saw that on camera. The Bobby
Yeah,
Witt Jr.
yeah,
That was
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. The base Bobby Witt Jr. auto.
Yep.
But yeah, so I bought those five blasters. I was like, whatever, I'll open them. And I think this was in the last box that I opened. I almost sent this one to you,
Oh my
which
gosh.
no offense, but I'm really glad I did.
Yeah.
So without further ado,
Ooh wee.
ooh, out of 99.
That's gonna be a monster card one day, sir.
I remember it was so the autographs were what were they? I think they were turned. So this is what I saw when I opened up the pack. I kind of fanned out the cards. Then I just saw the back of the cards. Like, oh, I got an autograph, sweet. And so I moved it to the back of the pack, went through them all, got to that last card right before this, and then I was holding it like this, and I flipped it over, and I was like, I I couldn't believe it. I think I called my wife. I was like, hey, we're going to Disney World, and I'm going to pay for it. Because at the time, I mean, Bowman had just come out that week. So there weren't like any, yeah. Bowman had just come out that week. And so there weren't really any comps on it. And I was looking, and the first edition, like that had that little first edition stamp, the green wave out of 99 sold for like 14,000 or something like that. So like in my mind, I saw that and I was like, oh, this is like a $10,000 card. I was like, we're gonna go to Disney World and gonna be able to to live high off the hog. Quickly realized it wasn't worth that much, and I turned down an offer that I regret. But so now I'm gonna hold on to it and hope that it kind of goes back up. I mean, I don't think it would have dropped like it did if they played a minor league season. I don't think I'm gonna. I really thought about it, but
Right.
yeah,
Right.
I don't think it's for me.
No, for sure. But that I remember it was like I pictured like honey like running all over the place, like not sure what to do, but something exciting's happening. Like do I get a case for it? Do I call somebody? Like what do I do?
Yeah.
One of those. You
Yeah.
texted me, and I remember my mother was trying to talk to me. We're at family dinner. I'm like, I'm sorry, my friend just pulled a $10,000 card. Give me a minute
Yeah.
here. Like I was freaking out. Dude.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I tried calling my wife. She was at work, so she couldn't answer right away. Tried calling her, and I texted her, "Call me as soon as you can." So of course she called. She's like, "Is everything okay?" She's like, "Yeah, I think we're going to Disney World."
That's awesome, dude. What a cool story. What a cool story. I know we got a few people in here. Let's say hi to John Mangini. He's in here. Beansball Card Blog. Nate. and Mr. Mullinex are in here, and I'm sure they all have experienced like pulling that mega card. I remember you and I were chatting the other day about this, and I think the last time I pulled a card like that was like a Kobe Bryant auto, and I high-fived the shop owner, and
Yeah.
reluctantly all those years ago sold it. So we won't talk about that, but. That was a lot of fun. Definitely brings back memories. All right, so going from probably the highlight minus your McGwire stuff of 2020, what do you think has been your biggest disappointment of 2020?
Card, like single card wise?
Sure.
I guess I kind of forgot about that question. Well, I guess card, like single card wise, it goes back to that.
It has to be, right?
Yeah. I mean, it was. I mean, I'm not. I don't expect anything crazy out of boxes, but I don't expect two autographs of that guy. That was definitely a bummer. That was
me and Jeremy were watching that.
That was a major kick in the. You know what?
Right. The three of us watched you just deflate on camera. We felt so bad for you. And I almost bought a box of that stuff like literally the next day. I was like, "Yep, I'm not going to do that." So, thank you for helping me out. I appreciate I appreciate that. If you could, if you were going to have somebody come over and look at the collection, like maybe not all the boxes, but maybe just like the case behind you, which looks awesome, by the way. I want to tell everybody that I was bothering him for months to fill that darn thing, and then he finally moved upstairs, and it looks awesome, though. But how would you describe to somebody maybe who hasn't seen your collection before, how would you summarize it to them? Like, this is what you're about to see.
Oh, you worded that different, didn't you?
Well, I mean, it says summarize your collection in one sentence, but I am trying to think for you, like, how would you summarize that to somebody who maybe doesn't know what they're about to look at yet?
The sentence I had before that, I had it written down.
Look at that! All right.
Was my I had my sentences. My collection is taking shape. Was my sentence before that? But if I'm showing it to someone new, someone who doesn't know about it, like you're. I mean, most of the people that I show don't have any clue on cards at all.
Right.
So I'll say something about like this is how will I word it to them? That was really tough to watch. I guess you kind of stumped me on that one because I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah, see, I just want to let everybody know that Tyler's been warming himself up to speak this much, and so I had to throw him a curveball. I threw you a glass now curveball on that one. You're welcome.
Yeah, and I whiffed hard.
Now, how do people react though? Like parents or your wife or whoever like comes up and looks at the cards because you have them all displayed there, and I've had a few people come and look at the shelf out in the living room there, and they're like, "Oh, this is interesting." Yeah. Like, how do they react?
Yeah, I do tend to show them the shinier stuff because that just kind of naturally attracts people. But I will start talking about print runs, and that kind of piques their attention a little bit. Okay. Like, oh wow, there's only 50 of those out there or something. That's really all the more the people around me get into it.
This is funny. John said this. I don't know if you've ever seen John Mangini's videos, but he's got like this setup behind him, and he shows he's one of the few that do cards like this, but he's got this like museum behind him basically, and I've definitely had like people look like, okay, what's going on here, and how much did you spend on all that? It's like that's not the point.
Yeah, it's art.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, I mean, there's. I mean, I think some of my friends they can like kind of appreciate what they see in here. Like I got a couple jerseys hanging up, right. Some like pictures that are framed and stuff, and they can appreciate how I'm actually like decently organized right now.
Right.
They can appreciate how I have things set up and all that.
There you go. That's right. That's important. That's definitely important.
But my wife used to pretend. Now she just kind of makes you happy.
Right. For sure, man.
But she has bought me some pretty cool cards.
That is true. There's definitely been more that you've shown to me that we don't have time on this interview to show, but yeah, she's definitely hooked you up, and she supports you pretty well. I'd say that she knows that you like it and enjoy it. So
I always tell her there's worse things I could be doing.
This is funny too. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I do get people in the area that message me, "Hey, are you still looking for cards?"
Yeah, that's right. That's
And
right.
it's
Or
like, I mean, I think everyone knows the types of cards that they're talking about. The
oh, for sure.
late '80s, early '90s
Oh.
junk wax.
Here comes the 91 Fleer yellow bordered. Oh boy, here we
Yeah.
go. Ugh. Good lord. All right. So, out of all the cards in your collection, maybe there's more than one, I'm not sure, but what would you say is the most sentimental card in your collection? Or
There's definitely
cards?
there's definitely more than one. But this just gives a general, just summarizes it. So I think really the biggest reason why I collect is my grandpa was a he was a pretty big time collector. Um, I didn't really followed as much back when he was really into it. I wish I would have because it would have been awesome to go to card shows or just talk cards or something with him. But I think he was on eBay like in the early days. It was pretty cool because I inherited his collection when he passed away, and that's what got me into collecting was I got all this stuff and I would look through it. And it was um, my wife and I bought our house and moved after like moving everything to the house. One of the first things I unpacked was uh, I mean I had a card collection growing up, but then I really went through his cards and I was like wow this is awesome. And I uncovered all his. He would save a lot of his stuff that he got from eBay or people just sent to him. He would save the package, and there'd be like a little note, little letter in there, like his name was Don. They'd like say thanks Don for the trade or thanks for buying this or whatever.
That's
And
cool.
he would have these cards still packaged up, and that's just what really started getting me back into the hobby. And just, I mean, he has a whole bunch of. He was a big time Pirates fan.
Wow.
So a whole bunch of Bob Clementes. Uh, this is probably one of my favorites of them. Was this 59? The 59 tops.
wow.
That's just I just the these cards are the only ones that I've actually thought about using the G word. I would if it wasn't so expensive and I if I knew that I could get the cards back. Let's go Bucks. If I could uh, if I could get the guaranteed to get the cards back within like a month or so at a decent price, I would want to send off all his cards to PSA
hmm
just to grade them in the condition that they're in. That way, they can never get any worse. I mean, I have them all in top loaders now, and a lot of the ones when I was going through them, a lot of them either weren't in top loaders or they were in top loaders but no penny sleeve or anything. They were just kind of bouncing around. So
hmm
I fixed that. I got the ball in top loaders now, penny sleeves. But I would
I'm
just love to have them graded in the condition they're in,
right.
because that's how he had them.
This is cool too. I think we all have some kind of ties to our fathers when it comes to collecting. Many of us do. I actually had a lot of fun firsthand watching you go through the first batch of those, and I was just like in shock. I couldn't
Yeah,
believe some of the stuff that was
yeah,
in
yeah.
there.
I got a whole bunch of those, like the tops giants, like the bigger cards of them, and
Yeah,
definitely some cool stuff in there.
lots of it. Yeah, for sure. That's awesome, man. Great story. Yeah, definitely love those kind of things. Right now, what do you think brings you the most excitement about the hobby?
Uh, I'd say the friendship, just the connection to everyone that likes the same thing. It's so nice to be able to talk to someone or multiple people just about something that you really enjoy and that understands it like you do. Like I could talk to my wife, and I mean I do talk to her about cards, but it's always I mean it's always just me talking to her about it. To her, like, oh yeah, that's cool. She just does. She doesn't get it. I'm not. I
yeah.
don't expect her to.
hmm
Um, but it's so nice to be able to talk to people about it that are in the same kind of situation I'm in, and
hmm
That's the power of the internet.
Yeah, I agree, dude. It's been super nice to do these video chats and whatnot. And I think Nate can especially attest to that. He's got a group of guys that he's sometimes he'll stream or just chat with them, and it reinvigorates your enjoyment and your love for
Yeah,
it. You know,
yeah.
that's awesome.
Even if you're not talking to someone, just going on to a YouTube channel like Nate's,
Mm-hmm.
just seeing somebody that truly loves what they have, and not just saying, "Oh yeah, I got this Fernando Tatis Jr. Superfractor auto, blah blah blah. Now here's a Mike Trout Superfractor, all that. I mean, it's cool to see, but just seeing someone who truly loves, who truly collects, to collect is it's a beautiful thing.
You ever seen those memes where it's like find a friend or a partner who looks at you the way this person does or that
Yeah,
kind of stuff? I will say for Tyler, find a buddy in the hobby who appreciates whatever you collect. He's about the only guy that like truly is like, let me see the goalies you got. And most guys are like, I only care about baseball. Let me bring that stuff around here. And I'm like, he's like, hey, that looks really, really cool. You know, those are the type of friends you want to make in the hobby. So that's my shout out to you, man. That's always it makes you it makes you more excited for like a really big pickup. Like there's a card that's coming that you keep asking like, where's it going to be? When's it coming in? You know, and
yeah,
those are the type of friends you want to make. You know, not the I got all these great cards. All right, see ya. So that's just I think
yeah,
kind of like minded people when it
yeah.
comes to that.
Which I do love seeing all the great cards, but it's just. I mean, I know I can't compete with going out and buying all these 101s all the time.
Right. Definitely, you gotta refrain from the keeping up with the Joneses, and that's something Brent talked about on my very first interview. You know, he talked about he was so caught up in picking up Kyle Lewis because that's what everybody else was doing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
and thankfully, do you feel like the hobby box prices is kind of what drove you out of that for good, just
Oh,
because it's too
oh,
expensive?
oh, for sure. Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. That was all price related.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, then it was a positive in a sense, maybe, right? Um, let's go to the second to last question. Well, depending on the last word will be at the end. But what's one thing you could change if you could change anything about the hobby right now with the snap of a finger? What would that be?
Competition. I would. I
More,
mean,
more of it.
I could talk all day about. I mean, I think some others have brought it up about just the way prices have gone this year. But competition is the big thing. I would just love to see. I don't know. Maybe I'm thinking maybe not Panini now, just because of the way they are just absolutely gouging their customers, and they're still paying it. But that's beside the point. I would love to see Upper Deck and Panini both get into baseball. Just I would just love to see the designs that they would come up with because there's Tops, Panini, and Upper Deck. They all make because see watching you open hockey and collect hockey.
Mm-hmm.
I've been starting to see the stuff they've been making, continuing to make over the years, and a lot of it's really nice. Um, but I would just love to see what those three would do if they knew that they had to compete against each other. I think that would, I mean, that would lower. I would think would lower the prices a little bit, um, but it would definitely up the production value.
I agree with that. I
Yeah.
agree with that because Panini's already. We talked about this together. Like Panini's got some great designs, and I've been guilty. Ryan will attest to this too. I've been guilty of buying some glass nows that the design was. I'm like, geez, this
Like
card is just
and like
ridiculous.
and like that mosaic this year is incredible.
Oh, dude. You know,
Spectra is always really nice. They got all the die cuts, a lot of die cut stuff, which are cool, but they don't get any. You see breakers open Spectra, and they just go through this pack, and they see a die cut out of like 10. They're like, oh yeah, they just want to get to the autos.
yeah, that's a shame.
But I guess Panini, yeah, Panini does like people, especially Prism and Mosaic. They do tend to. I think the like the parallels do tend to sell better and are more desired than the autographs, which that's really nice. Because tops, it's basically all other than the flagship product, Topps is all. What autograph did you get?
Right. I agree, and that's what's been fun about opening hockey, especially, is it's not really there's the autographs are okay, but it's more about the rookie cards,
And
and
I think if there was a baseball Young Guns, that would be awesome. I would love that.
or
I,
something similar. Yeah, for
I
sure.
would I would find myself. I would have been trying to buy a Luis Robert Young Gun or something just because it's the rookie card.
Well, they would be called. I believe they'd be called rated rookies, if I'm correct, because Upper Deck started going to rated
Rate,
rookies, and then they went.
rated rookies Panini
Oh, is it?
now. Yeah.
Because I know Upper Deck had that for a couple of years there. I believe it was 99 and 2000. But anyways, I mean, it would be nice if they would come up with their own baseball, name for a rookie. Oh gosh, can you imagine that? Or Luis Robert or Bo Bichette. Oh, that'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
I mean, it would be expensive, but it would be a lot of fun to own that. Yeah.
Yes, they are. Anyways, all right, man. Let's hop to this last main question. This is always a fun one with collectors because everybody loves to dream of that one card. If money was not an option, and wives would not be upset over our purchases, what would be that one card that you would buy?
I don't know what the specific card would be, but it would be like an Albert Pujols, some like ultra rare rookie autograph or something.
His
Uh,
Bowman Chrome, maybe.
yeah, like a refractor, uh, Bowman Chrome auto.
Right.
Because I mean, well, being a fan of McGwire naturally made me a fan of the Cardinals. So then, McGwire's last year was Pujols' first year, and I mean everybody knows what Pujols did, and so that led me to be a Cardinals fan up until he left. I mean, I still, if I watch another team other than the Pirates, it's usually the Cardinals.
Okay.
So I still like him. I was a big fan all the way through the mid to late 2000s.
Awesome. I was not
But
expecting that choice.
yeah, I knew you would. Yeah, I've got a Pujols jersey up there, and I think I have another one in my closet. So I was definitely a big fan. I got to watch him play quite a bit because, I mean, they would come to Pittsburgh however many times a year.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it seemed like for my birthday, uh, the Cardinals would always be in town, like kind of around that time. So my parents would take me to a Pirates Cardinals game. I'd be decked out in my Cardinals gear because
Attaboy.
the Pirates were just so bad. I mean, nothing's really changed, but it was fun to watch. It was fun to watch Pujols play, and my dad even was it 2008, 2006, something. Uh, we drove all the way to St. Louis for a weekend series against the Giants. So we got to see Bonds and Pujols play in their prime. I guess Bonds was towards the end of his career, but I mean I think they both hit multiple home runs
Wow.
that year or that series.
You lucky dog.
So yeah, we went to a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday game.
What an experience. You're never
And
going to forget that, man.
yeah, no. And my dad, I mean, uh, he struggled throughout childhood with just being able to kind of support himself and all that. Um, so I can't even imagine. I mean, he had to save up for that. And, I mean, I appreciated it then, but I appreciate it even more now.
Amen to that. Amen to that. My
I mean, he
father's the
drove.
same
I mean,
thing, for sure.
I was nowhere close to being able to drive, so he drove the whole. Is it like it's like 12 or 14 hours of a drive there. He drove there on Friday. We went to go see a game, and then saw Saturday and Sundays. And after the game on Sunday, drove back home that
Wow.
Sunday night after the game, and he did it all in one go.
Good for him. That's awesome. Well, I hope he watches this interview and sees you talking about that. What a cool experience, dude. Awesome. Well, that was way better of a story than anybody's told for number 9. So if anybody watches this, it's coming up. Will and Ryan and Andy, you got some big shoes to fill on that question for sure. Well, Tyler, before we wrap up, I want to say that it's been a pleasure to have you on here and
Yeah.
again
Yeah.
talk about our friendship and what it means to us in the hobby, and to give you a chance to really talk about your collecting story this year, because it's been, as we've said before, the best year, better than you could have hoped, right?
Way better.
10 times better, dude. 10 times better. And, we're looking forward to filming our top 20 or whatever videos. If anybody wants to motivate Tyler, now is the time, because he's never made a video before. And we're trying to peer pressure him into doing one for us. So, Nate, could you get the ball rolling on that?
I know Eric Wertner. I think he's messaged me multiple times. Hey, you got a YouTube channel?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. You got to do it, man. I even told you, like, just put some music on really loud, but show the cards to us. So yeah, that'll be something to look forward to. Well, if you could summarize this interview in one word, what word would you use?
Unexpected.
Perfect.
Just this whole year, this whole like year and a half, 2 years, really, but especially this year, unexpected. Is what what I've been able to collect, and then the friendships I've made. Just I came into this not expecting any of that, and it just happened.
Yes, it did. And here you go. 2 people already. So let's go. And including myself, that's 3. I know Eric McDowell, who I've been wanting to get on here so bad. I do have a slot open, Eric, when you watch this. I have one more
All right,
slot open.
well, how about this? I'll do it live. If Eric McDowell, if you get on here and do an interview, I'll start a YouTube channel.
Oh, man. The pressure is on. The pressure is on,
Because
Eric.
I want to see Eric on here real bad.
Oh, look at this. You've got Four Leaf, another cool dude. Four Leaf's been around since I started this whole thing with Greg. So yeah, big shout out to you, man. All right, well, Tyler, as unexpected as this year has been, it has been the best year of collecting as far as friendships for me too. So thanks for being a big part of that, and thank you to everybody who hung out and watched this interview with us. We all both appreciate the support, and hope you all have a great rest of December, and we'll see you later.